What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're doing a 100% race around the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, kind of as a, I don't know, a tribute to the end of the season. Since it is the last real-life Grand Prix that's happening, I thought I'd do a 100% race. I don't remember if I've actually done, I've actually done a couple 100% races on this game, but this will be one of very few, so we're going to give it a go. I think I'm going to start from last place. You can see right here I did qualifying, then we went to the race, and for some reason, literally the game kicked out most people in that lobby. So I had to start again. This time I'm ditching qualifying, and we're just starting from the back anyway, so we'll see how we go. 100% race, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. You normally get like a day-night transition, which was like a big deal back in the day, like in F1 2012-ish kind of region. Like, oh, look at this dynamic transitions, but nowadays no one really cares about that stuff anyway. But yeah, we're going to be starting from last place. We've got a few quick people in this lobby, so we'll have to cut our way through very cleanly. There's going to be a bit of lag, I'd imagine, so hopefully we can survive the opening lap or two. 5 red lights for this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and we are underway. Not going to lie, it's going to be a very easy, calm transition into this race. The safety car is out already before we even get fully stuck into this race, so that is interesting. The safety car basically never comes out in online game modes, and there we go, we have one straight away at turn 1. So Junior Fast Boy, I believe it was, got taken out by someone who just completely swiped left in the run into turn 1. So that was pretty unfortunate for him, but looks like there's a lot of lag about that. Renault has a red X against his name. He's going really slowly, and well, I'm not allowed to overtake him. So that is very, very unfortunate. We're going to have to stick behind him for now. We don't have any front wing damage. We're going to stick with our strategy of being on the ultra soft tyres. We still can't get past this guy who is going ridiculously slow. The Sauber has now overtaken him, and he's gained 2 positions because I had to let the Renault go through. So Junior Fast Boy overtook me at the start of the lap, and looks like he's got no penalty, but I can't get past this Renault, who is literally crawling. That's not a person. It's desync, or they've left, and the AI is just taking control. But look at how slowly they're going. We're still on the first lap, whereas the safety car and all the leaders are already into the second sector of the ground. Like, look at this guy.
Give that position back. We are under safety car conditions.
I have no words. I actually have no words for what's happening, and we've lost the position to the guy who, our teammate who just pitted. As soon as he gets in front of us, the desync car disappears, so that was great. But yeah, the Grand Prix hasn't even started yet, and it's absolute carnage. We now get promoted up to P11 after another car disappears, but the safety car is now finally coming into the pit lane, and hopefully that can be the last of the issues, the last of the glitches, and we can get on with some good, hard, fair racing. 52 laps to go in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and we're in the top 10 somehow. A bit of misfortune for the guys around us, I'd say. There's a Sauber that's completely buried in that wall, so that's P9 for us. That Toro Rosso going in a little bit too deeply. I didn't want to stick around the outside there. I knew that that wasn't going to be an ideal situation for us. That Williams has just mounted over the top of the Toro Rosso. There was another Williams that was stuck on the circuit as well, which gives us another position. It's all kicking off here in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Yellow flags are still out all around the circuit, so no overtaking is allowed. I'm not too sure. I didn't really pick up on this at the time. We're going to go to the inside, and we're in the wall.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
Great job. Can't even run side by side on a straight without getting swiped, so that was great. We're going to have to pit at the end of this lap and recover our race from here. This guy in the Williams, I don't know what he's playing out. He's obviously trying to take us out, but we're not going to play to that game. Hopefully he blows himself up at some point. There's still yellow flags out all around the circuit, by the way, which is interesting. Hopefully that sorts itself out soon, but the amount of lag, the amount of glitches that just seems to be happening in online right now is outrageous. This could be a league race. Bear in mind, this could be a league race because it's online, but thankfully it's not. I mean, what is going on? There's still yellow flags, and no one can actually overtake each other. at this point in the race, but finally someone left or retired or something, and then we got green flags, thankfully. I was actually just about to abort this race and start again. Such was the calamity of the issues we were having at the start of this race, but we settle into the race now. Hopefully that is the last of all the bull crap and we can have a good race now. It's a very, very long way to go. Still 49 laps. Strategy is compromised a little bit. We got put on the Hypersoft tires, and now I don't know what that means in terms of our strategy now, but we could go to supers and make it to the end, or we could go ultras again and then finish on hypers, or stretch the ultras to the end, depending on how far into the race we can go on this current set of Hypersoft tires. It really is still up in the air at the moment, and it all just comes down to our driving. What is that? Speaking of driving, it's that guy from the start of the race who completely swiped at us on the straight. This time we'll make sure such efforts are swiftly noped in this one. We're going to be awake to his tactics, shall we say. So we need to sell him a dummy. We need to kind of fake him and make sure that he doesn't really swipe us. I mean, look at that. He's out of the race. I didn't even try that hard. I was getting ready for the big crescendo on the next DRS straight. I was just kind of surviving that straight, and I was getting ready to be blown up on the next straight, but you took yourself out in... Oh my god, that's just really bad. How did you accelerate in the braking zone after I had already switched lanes? Did that confuse you? I don't know. That was the worstest way of driving I've ever seen. But anyway, we are still in the Grand Prix. We have our tyres intact, our front wing is intact, and now we can actually get on with this race. Finally! I don't know why I thought online would be a good idea, but I wanted to change it up after doing the lap down challenge yesterday against AI. It is always a bit more fun to do online. It's just like that much more unpredictable. You just never know what you're going to get. Such in case with the safety car at turn 1. I'm pretty certain that wouldn't have happened if we did single player. But now we have a race to get back on the podium to see if we can possibly even win this race. The gap to the car ahead is 3.8 seconds. The McLaren, he just fit on a set of Hypersoft tyres a few laps ago, whereas we've been on ours for quite a long time. I did my absolute best to stretch out this current set of Hypersoft tyres to give myself flexibility for the second half of this race. Like I said, we're going to be going to the ultra soft tyres now. I didn't want to fit on the supers this race because the supers would be so much slower, and over a longer race, 100% race, the harder compounder tyre isn't really the one that you want to put on the car. With a longer race, you have more time and more laps to punch in some absolute Hollywood numbers on softer compounds, and doing additional stops in longer races makes more sense because you have more time to make up the difference. That's why one stops are probably more prominent in 50% races, whereas 100% you'll see a lot more two stops and using of the softer compounds. So we're going to make full use of that if we can, and just use our pace to get ourselves out of trouble. But we've got a long way to go. We've got a lot of grinding to do to catch up to those guys who are, in control of this race. Like I said, the McLaren, who is on fresher tyres on the Hypers, he's currently stretching his out quite a long way. His gap to us was like 17 seconds after he came out of the pit lane, or just did a couple of laps, and now we're really closing him in the last 5 or so laps. He's still out there on his Hypersoft tyres that he put on like 15 or so laps ago, and I'm quite surprised to see that he's still out there on the circuit circulating on these tyres. I would have thought he'd dive into the pits, get a fresh set of ultra soft tyres that might be able to go to the end from here. I'm not too sure. Supers will definitely make it, so there's a lot of options open for this guy, and now he's left himself pretty vulnerable to us. Let's see if we can go around the outside into this first sector chicane, or second sector technically, since we already crossed the first sector line, but decided to be a bit more patient. Since it is a longer race, we can afford to just hold back, take a deep breath, and assess things a little bit more. We'll get the move done on the straight here. We'll use a bit more ERS to get that job done, and that should be P2 for us. The Toro Rosso, who's leading this race, is only a few seconds up the road as well, so we made huge gains not only on the McLaren but the Toro Rosso as well. I think this Toro Rosso guy is actually maybe a little bit slower than the guy in the McLaren. He just seems to be, yeah, I think it's because of the super soft tyres that he's had on for a very, very long time. They must be starting to hurt at this stage. So surprised that these guys didn't dive in earlier to cover me off, but they've stuck at it for a very long time, and it might mean that they're only doing a one stop in this race, so we'll have to potentially chase them down in the final 10 or so laps. We'll have to wait and see though. Here's a move for the lead now. Into overtake mode. Rich fuel mixture is engaged as well. Into turn 1. We got the fresher tyres, and that's a pretty easy move in the end there. So we have control of this Grand Prix 30 laps in. It has taken us 30 laps to dig ourselves out of trouble. We're not completely in the clear yet. We still have some ambiguities with the strategy now. We need to actually reclaim the lead later on in the race because, yeah, we have to do an extra stop. So we'll punch in the numbers now while we can. We've got to save a little bit of fuel. That's a legal overtake.
That move was illegal. Return
You
the
are
position.
joking. An illegal overtake on a car that is not in the race anymore. That is a lap down. Thanks for that. That cost me a good 5 seconds. But yeah, the other guys just pitted. They were starting to close me in quite rapidly on their fresher tyres. I think the gap came down to about 10-15 seconds. Now we're going on to the hypers. Those guys are on the ultras. We're going to have the second lap advantage, something like that. And I feel like I'm pretty pacey in this car now. I've had 40 laps now to get used to the circuit, to get used to the setup, and I feel like we can do the goods here. As long as we don't make a mistake, as long as we don't get tangled up in a crash along the way. Got to overtake that McLaren, which we already overtook, and we got to get past that Toro Rosso guy once again. So let's see if we can do it. We'll see if we can set a fastest lap of the Grand Prix along the way too, and hopefully claim this race victory. I wasn't expecting to be in the game after the early setback of, well, getting held up behind the lap car for ages under safety car, and then the big blow was obviously getting the front wing damage so early on in the race, but we've recovered quite well. We might go for a big old yeet into the third sector, the hotel section, and that is us up in a P2. Another legal overtake.
Okay, you need to give that position
Another
back.
illegal
That's an
overtake. I think it was one of the lap cars who was trying to get out of the way, caused the yellow, and now we have to get back into P2 once again, which is frustrating because it allows the Toro Rosso to get away. 11 laps to go in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I'm not panicking just yet. We have amazing pace. We've got good tyres. And let's see if we can yeet this guy around the outside this time. Sorry about saying yeet. I really apologise. But what a move there into turn 1. Around the outside, just had better grip, better traction.
Nice move.
And
Good job.
really, really enjoyed that one. So now we chase down the race leader. It's all down to us to extract the maximum. That's a 1 minute 36.3. Not a bad fastest lap there, but we did do the overtake on that lap as well, so we probably could go a little bit faster in a bit of clear air. But to catch up to this guy on pretty much the next lap, I'm not too sure what the deal is with penalties. We've only got like 1 or 2 penalties so far, whereas I suspect that the other guys probably have a little bit more than that, given that's strict corner cutting rules are on, and we're 47 laps into this race. It's not easy to avoid corner cutting warnings around this circuit, such is the nature of the track layout. But here we go to the inside. This is for the lead of the Grand Prix. Pretty academic in the end there. We've got fresher hyper soft tyres versus these guys on older ultra soft tyres. It was never going to be an ideal situation for those guys to hold on, and now we have the lead and we can pretty much cruise to the end now with 7 laps to go. We've done the hard yards, elongating the first stint on hypers. We put in some really consistent laps on the ultras as well, while saving fuel and bracing ourselves for this final attack in the 10 laps, and now we can just cruise and do whatever the hell we want. So I'm going to see if I can go for fastest lap. I had a couple of attempts of trying to go for it. Someone actually beat my fastest lap and did like a 36.2. You can see that just there I didn't invalidate a 36.0. But I, cut one of the corners over the course of the lap and it disallowed me. So that was pretty frustrating, but that was the Grand Prix. Last to first in this online challenge, 100% race.
Yellow flag.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed. The start of the race was an absolute nightmare, but we just about managed to come across the line and win the Grand Prix in pretty weird fashion. I don't know what this is. I wanted to do a burnout. I wanted to reverse across the line. I didn't quite do any of those things, but it is a victory. The guy in the McLaren showing us how it's done with some burnouts across the line. The gap to third place for him was pretty substantial in the end there, as I think third place pitted for an extra stop to try and get fast as that, which I think they might have done. I'm not too sure. But guys, that's been this video for today. Hopefully you enjoyed. My voice just about held out in this one, so I am slowly recovering. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2018 content. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the real life Grand Prix. As of recording this, it's already happened. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this season. F1 2019 should be pretty good. Hopefully Daniel Ricciardo is in the fight, though I severely doubt that. Till the next one. I'll see you next time.
When the lights go down